Hello, I'm your host, Sean, and today in the studio we also have co-hosts Chris and Zin. How's it going, guys?
It's going good, going good. Can't complain.
It's
Okay.
been a long ass Monday.
Has it?
Yes.
Well, it's been a long ass weekend for me, so we'll get into that right quick. How was your guys' weekends?
It was nice. Made a good chunk of cash and got to relax Sunday.
Cool.
Started off good, ended shitty.
Oh,
Yep, I'll get into that later.
oh.
He's gonna have a. There's gonna be a rant. I can feel it.
No, it's just the week in sim racing summary that'll cover it. So
Okay. Well, my weekend started out by getting called in early to work and showing up to else being there. So that was fun. Me and the captain on shift were there till 7:20, almost 8 o'clock in the morning before our rest of our day crew decided to show up because some of them were out sick or had doctor's notes and other stuff. And then Saturday, the I've never had this happen in the 10 years working there. We had an inmate that had expiration of sentence and they refused to leave.
Come again?
They refused to leave. We had to physically go into the cell, extract them, and take them to the bus station because they did not want to leave our facility.
and who is this that didn't want to leave?
It was an inmate. They had expiration of sentence, off paperwork, nothing. Like they literally, we got them a bus ticket to go wherever they wanted to go, and yeah, they
So he was
refused.
being released from jail, but he didn't want to leave jail.
Well, yeah, released from prison. Yeah, expiration of sentence, no paperwork, didn't have to check in with parole or probation, none of that stuff. And he decided he did not want to leave. He wanted to stay in prison.
Well then,
So yeah, that was our morning on Saturday. Yeah, we were dealing with an inmate that refused to leave our facility.
I'm speechless. I am
I
100% speechless.
it was completely dumbfounded the rest of the day. Like I've never had that happen ever.
I
Like
mean, usually people want to get out of prison.
usually they're screaming and yelling at us to let them out of prison, not screaming and yelling and fighting us to stay in prison.
Usually, isn't there a big giveaway when that happens? Like they're giving away just shit.
I don't know. That was yeah. So yeah, soon as we had to call the sheriff's department and follow our transport vehicle up to the bus station because we thought that they were going to be combative as soon as we let them out of restraints at the bus station. But I think they finally came to realization that they are leaving and then got on the bus and left.
Oh wait, I'm
So,
being released.
yeah, like I said, weirdest thing ever. And then yeah, Sunday we had other stuff happen, which legal reasons I can't talk about. So at least not on a podcast.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah, so past that, we'll move on to sim racing. So I guess we'll start with Chris since Zin may have a
all right.
rant to come with.
So it was a nice and quiet week, and to be honest, Radicals was a bit messy. Calmed down, and during Sunday when we did multi-class, got bonked into a red flag, a pirate flag,
Ooh.
and that was the end of my race. Finished fifth, almost had fourth.
Zin, how was your weekend or week?
Here we go.
I mean, it got progressively better. MX5s were okay. Radicals were really good. I had a great battle with Corey and Craig for top three. Finished third there. And then Sunday was LMP2s, GTEs, and GT3s, as Chris alluded to. And first time running an LMP2 around Fuji, was shaping up to be really good. Sat on pole, and then I promptly got Darian'd, and the only 4X that I had. And then I motherfucked myself because apparently Fuji has the stupidest pit entry I have ever seen on a racetrack. And so I was behind Carrick and was basically like, okay, if he doesn't go in, I'm going to go in. Except when I did, apparently the solid white line that's sitting in the middle of the track is the pit in line, even though there's nothing that tells you that. So if you cross that big thick white line at any point, you get a black flag for unsafe pit entry. So I gave myself a 40-second penalty and finished 27 seconds back of Carrick, who won the race. So it was definitely a case of what could have been. And then Darian got protested me for an incident that was his fault. So Carrick and I were battling. Darian was kind of sniffing to pick up the pieces going into turn 1, and then Fuji has a little kink right after turn 1 as you go down to turn 2 or turn 3, whatever it
Except
is.
Darian bonked the pieces.
Except Darian was on the inside. He was, I don't know, third, half a car ahead, but you could tell he was fixated on the back of Carrick's car and clearly not listening to his spotter screaming, "There's a fucking car to your left." Because he just comes out into the middle of the track, and so I'm having to not run into Kent, who's an admin of the league. That's like the massive no-no is you don't hit Kent, you know.
You don't wreck the owner.
Admin
right?
Is the
so
golden rule.
Yeah, you don't wreck the owner of the league, right? It's common sense. So I'm like sitting in the middle of the track. There's plenty of space to my right. There's plenty of space for Darian to keep right going over the curb through the kink, and he just comes out in the middle of the track, bonks me. And then, of course, I'm, fighting the car to keep from getting bonked into Kent. So I bonk him back. And apparently that was enough of a tap to break his suspension or give him a knee bell flag or something. But gave me a 4X out of it. That was the only incident points I had the entire race. So that cost me 10 points of bonus for not having a clean race. And then, yeah. So, went from looking promising to just straight flush it in the toilet. I was running a Red Bull commemorative paint I created to honor Dietrich Mateschitz, who passed away, which I'm sure we'll get into later. And apparently I inherited Red Bull's shitty pit crew from the race. So they couldn't tell me where pit in was. So
no, you inherited the Kamui Kobayashi pit crew.
No.
So anyway,
box, out, box.
Yeah. Well,
clearly, my name is not Lewis Hamilton. So crossing illegally into pit lane got me a penalty. As
no, you were like I said, you got the Kamui Kobayashi treatment.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because of my work schedule, I did not do a whole lot of sim racing. So I only was able to participate in the radical races with you guys, which, I mean, those cars are fun to drive, but man, are they a handful.
Honestly, I'm probably going to sound a little weird saying this, but I preferred the radicals to the GTE car.
Oh, man. That was funny because you were like bitching and complaining. Oh, I can't wait to get to the GTE car because it's going to have so much more downforce.
Problem with the GTE car was, what was it? I think it's the second to last turn before you go to that. It was just the car. If you trail braked way too much or just slightly over, it would spin. Like there was no saving it. That was the problem.
You sure it wasn't a brake bias issue?
No. Because I literally just took the corner slightly differently, and it was fine. So
you can switch you can switch compounds on the Corvette, right?
Yeah, you can. I kept it at low just because.
I think you can also adjust master cylinders too on those cars, right?
I'm not 100% sure. I think you can because I know you can on the P2 car. I wouldn't be surprised if you could. I would be surprised if you couldn't on the GTE car. But yeah, no. I just started taking a slightly different line and just being smooth with it, and it worked out.
Okay. So yeah, I was running okay in the radicals, and then at the end. Did my usual
But yeah,
screwed myself. So that's how
but that
my
little, yeah, that
racing
little
went.
kink though was just.
Yeah,
It was more sketchy in the Corvette than it was the Radical
yeah. Just be glad we didn't run the
kink.
the
Or
the
the boot.
alternate the alternate layout where it has the little kink there after the sweeping sections there, because that probably would have caught some people out with some 1Xs and other stuff.
Well, I actually think I would have preferred to run the chicane just because that corner that you would turn sharp right into the chicane this time was just kind of a quick right, but I can never get it right in any of the cars. I'd lose so much time through there or spin out.
Right.
I was like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually think I'd prefer to run the chicane.
Right.
I
Yeah,
don't
and
know,
that track is just so wide too. And a lot of the corners are late apex corners. You just kind of get lost as to where you're at with that track.
yeah, I've noticed it's brake earlier somehow equals no. Usually brake earlier and then just apex it later. It seems to be best course of action for that track. It's a hard track just to get a rhythm in, but when you get a rhythm in, it's great.
Right. And well, this week we're doing what Osher
Asher
Schleben
Schleben. Yeah, Asher Schleben.
murdered that name probably. So if there's anybody in Germany that's listening,
Tato, we're sorry.
he'd probably call us out on it. So, and then I noticed that the ESS series is at Daytona, and then
No, it's at
IMSA,
Sebring, I thought.
no, IMSA's at Sebring,
Oh,
and
okay.
ESS is at Daytona. So two really fun tracks to drive. So I'm looking forward to running both of those races
I'm looking
this
forward
week.
to dying.
So, but anyway, moving on to NASCAR news now. This week, before we even get into the weekend, Bubba Wallace got hit with a one race suspension, which came out after we did our last podcast. So, I mean, we kind of covered this in quite a bit of detail in the last podcast we did. So, I mean, if anybody has anything else they want to add to it about his one race suspension, I feel like it was kind of warranted. I'm sure that's probably not what some other people think, but it needed to happen for otherwise it was just going to become a hunting fest for people if they continuously wreck each other.
I don't necessarily disagree with the penalty. I disagree with the timing of it and the hypocrisy is a strong word, but the massive inconsistency with how NASCAR has handled it before.
I mean, this is kind of how NASCAR's been going this whole season and actually for quite a bit of seasons, the inconsistencies, even actually in a lot of upper echelons of motorsport racing this last year, the officiating has just it's really gone downhill. I don't know what is up with the sanctioning bodies, but they really need to look back at what they've done and really need to move forward, because like I said, in NASCAR, F1, I don't think IndyCars, maybe IndyCar might have sports car racing doesn't. WEC seems to have their stuff on point, but
Eduardo Freitas for you.
I mean,
he's gotten some things wrong though.
I mean, they do make mistakes, but at least they seem to have a lot more consistency than NASCAR and F1 do. Whether it's not in the favor.
Has periods of where it doesn't even know what the hell is going on. That's the thing.
Right.
Anyway, we'll get into that topic later, but carry on.
The thing though is that yeah, I get what you're saying with the inconsistencies, but for the most part, handling punishments had been one of the few consistent things that they were doing until this incident. This was out of the norm for how they had previously handled things, and I think what I'm trying to find what Junior said on it, and yeah, okay, here it is. like he said, he doesn't hate that the suspension was handled down, but he wouldn't have gone with it because of the precedent that NASCAR had used time and time again. And I agreed with him. When you look at, somebody had done what I thought about doing, which was looked at how similar incidents had been handled across the three series for like the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And very few of them resulted in the way that Bubba's punishment was levied. And I think given the situation, I it, it almost seems like an overreaction because NASCAR's caught between this rock and a hard place of how the cars have become the enemy in wrecks.
Right.
That it's their issue. They know they can't fix it until the off season, and instead of just saying, hey, to keep consistent with the penalties that we have given out on similar incidents of intentional wrecks, uh, we're going to use this as making an example. And I don't necessarily agree with that.
Mm. Like I said, I completely understand where you're coming from with that and stuff. So, I mean, I guess now it's the race suspension's done and over with after this weekend. So hopefully they
Get their shit
get
together.
more consistent with what's going on and move on from there. So, and that probably goes for every sanctioning body across the board. So, all right. Well, now we'll actually get into the weekend, which they were at Miami Homestead, which always seems to generally put on a good race as far as the NASCAR series goes across the board. So, the truck race, Ty Majeski won the series race, but again, we had some controversy with some team orders in effect. They were looking at, I guess NASCAR looked at the SMT data for the throttle tracing and showed that Matt Crafton and Christian Eckes had basically let off to let their team truck by to gain some points and maximize their playoff content. Then they got fined for code of conduct. I don't know. I guess this brings up a kind of another problem is, how do you guys feel on team orders in racing?
Get rid of it.
It
depends on the series though. Like F1, I can understand it, I guess, a little bit, but for the most part, I feel like team orders are kind of just a way of getting points in a way you wouldn't normally have it.
I don't know. I mean, I think team orders in big series like NASCAR is really a byproduct of having few teams with a lot of cars, where they have multiple pieces that they can kind of move around like a chessboard to give them the result that they're wanting. And I mean, there's a advantage in numbers. I mean, that's why you have the Penske's and the Ganassis, and in trucks, it's I think it's Thor Sport that was running a few trucks now, and the one thing I will say though, I didn't watch the whole Homestead race. I did watch the last, I don't know, 10 laps or so, and I don't know where the team order incident happened, but if it happened in that last 10 minutes, it was hard to tell watching on the outside because they were struggling with grip to keep it out of the wall. That I don't know if I would be able to look at data.
So there was an instance where Crafton bumped the back of his teammate instead of initiating a pass. He literally I guess that was the second instance that caught NASCAR's attention, was that instead of going for the pass on his teammate, he literally basically locked bumpers with him and pushed him down the straightaway, not even trying to dive into the corner and make a pass on his teammate. So I guess that was the second incident where it really caught NASCAR's attention, because it just seemed because it just seemed very out of character, especially with the way Matt Crafton likes to race. He's a pretty hard charging guy, and he's not afraid to. He's run into his teammates before in past races, fighting for points. So that was, I can see where that looked different.
But is that not possible that the team said, hey, don't do that and risk taking out both of you and losing those points?
Right. I didn't look at to see if they were also monitoring radio chatter as well, like they were with what Cole Custer and stuff when he got penalized for basically, but that was pretty blatant. The crew chief was like, hey, you got a flat, back off. Okay, go.
Yeah. I mean, look, I personally think NASCAR is sort of overreacting because to me, what happened like in the Custer situation at the Charlotte Roval, I don't see any difference in that happening on the back straightaway going into the first chicane than what you would do to say block a run at Daytona or something like that.
Well, also Custard, I think, was a lap down too, so that also plays a factor into it.
Well, hell, I don't think I've ever seen a blue flag in a NASCAR race.
Oh no, I think they do wave them, but it's basically just to let the cars behind know that, hey, you've got the faster guys coming up behind you. Which, yeah. I mean, don't tell that to sim racing world, because in sim racing world, if it's a blue flag, it means you have to get the hell out of the way.
Fucking way.
Yeah.
Pull over in the grass, park it, get out of the car, wave them through.
Yeah, valet park the car.
Exactly.
And
roll
then
out the red carpet while you're at it.
Yeah. That's one thing that really annoys me in sim racing is everybody thinks that it's Formula One rules when it's not. Because in Formula One, when you get the blue flag, the slower car actually has to let the faster car go by.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know. I see the pros and cons to team orders, but almost every team has got multiple cars, so anybody can do it. It's fair game if you happen to be in a position to take advantage of it. I don't know.
I mean, I'm under the mentality, let them race. I mean, if you're really faster than your teammate, you're gonna get by them. I mean, I'm not saying you have to beat the doors off of each other just for the position. You can run hard and he can still get by, but not just, oh, he's in the position, so let's just back off so that way he can't, so that way we guarantee the points for him. Like I said, you can battle or fight for position, but not just give up halfway through, or essentially, like they said, let off the throttle and let the teammate drive a couple of seconds out on you. So so yeah, we move on to the Xfinity race, which I was able to watch highlights of that. That seemed like it was a pretty exciting race. Noah Gregson picked up another win again, so we got 2 JRM cars in the final 4 for Phoenix, so that's awesome. I'm super excited about that because I'm a huge Chevy fan, so the more Chevys in the finals, the better. So I don't know if you guys caught any of the race or not. If not, we can move on.
Yeah, no, I didn't catch it.
I didn't.
Okay. All right. Then we'll move on to Sunday with Kyle Larson winning all the stages and winning the race. Pretty dominant performance for him. They seem to have pretty much the fastest car out on the track, other than Truex, which unfortunately, due to just lack of vision, he wasn't able to see his pit stall and got spun out by Larson. And even he acknowledged that he wasn't able to see his pit stall, and he kind of took blame on that, which it's kind of sucks because I do like Martin Truex as well. He's a pretty good guy. got any comments about Larson or the race at all? It looked like it was a good race. The cars were like 5 wide, and the car really raced well at Homestead.
The only thing I'll bring up is apparently with Larson's win, there's a chance for a split championship because it locked the 5 car in on the owner's points for the Final Four. If I read that correctly.
Yeah. So I think it's the 5 car and the 9 are locked in for the championship 4 for on the owner side, which again, that's something I wish NASCAR would cover more, or the broadcasters would bring up more, is the owners championship. I mean, it's talked about like it's a huge thing in F1, and it's always talked about through the entire season, just as much as it is the drivers championship. I wish NASCAR would bring it up because the teams really do deserve more of the spotlight too, not just the driver.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it would add a little bit of understanding or a little bit of clarity on, all the pieces that are being moved around and, thoughts that go into it. Like just because the driver is eliminated from the playoffs on the driver's side of things, like why their results still matter in a way.
Right.
Because I have seen some people and myself at some point kind of had the same question about like, hey, you have the playoffs where round of 16, round of 12, down to the final 4 basically, and it's like what's everybody else kind of racing for other than pride out there, and having something that would go into that or cover it, not every week, but maybe every few weeks or so, just give an update on how the owners points battle is going, because they focus on the manufacturers between Toyota, Ford, Chevy, but they don't necessarily look at the teams, like, oh yeah, Penske's doing this, or, Hendrick's doing that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really need to, like I said, they should focus on that more too, because I mean, I know in the final, when you get down to the championship race at Phoenix, the broadcasters, the only thing they're going to really talk about is the Final Four. Whoever's in there, they're going to constantly be talking about them. I mean, obviously if another driver is running away with the race that isn't in the championship 4, I've seen it in the past where they don't even talk about whoever's leading the freaking race if it's not a championship 4 contender. Well, if you add the owner's points into it, it's like, hey, not only is you got the championship 4 guys going on, battling for position, but hey, that guy that's out of the championship 4, he's running for the win for his team because they could win the owner's points because, just like Formula One, NASCAR has the crap. Now I'm drawing a blank on the charter system, and the teams get paid out just like they do in F1. Where they finish in the places, that because they have those charter positions, they get paid more money for whichever position they're finishing in. So just like the owners championships in F1, they're really focusing on that. So
yeah, I agree.
So all right, moving on to some IMSA and WEC news, kind of a follow-up to the Ben Keating to Corvette thing. They announced that Nikki Katzberg will be joining Keating in their WEC efforts for the championship season, which that's cool. I'm happy that Katzberg is at least staying with Corvette and he's able to run with Keating, which, I mean, if you want to talk about a driver that probably has a wealth of knowledge in different cars, I think Katzberg could really sit under the learning tree for Keating.
Which is not something you would expect with a pro
driver.
No. Listen, the only reason why Keating is a silver or a bronze is because of his age.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the man is a super whatever, like
super silver, super bronze, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever. I mean, hell, even if he was a gold driver, he'd be a super gold.
Yeah.
I don't understand
bronze,
him.
he is a big bald bronze.
Yes. It's the biggest, baldest bronze man.
Well, he is bald, so this works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'm happy for Katzberg, and hopefully he learns a lot riding with Keating this year. And then also, unfortunately, we are losing Nick Tandy back to Porsche.
Everything is right in the world. Everything is right in the world.
No, it's not, because I so totally wanted Tandy and Taylor on the same team for Corvette. You know how much fun the social media videos would be with those two being on the same team for Corvette next year?
Now it's even better.
Yeah. Rodney Sandstorm, and I'm sure Nikki would come up with some sort of alternate ego to bounce off of Jordan Taylor. I felt like it would have been social media gold for those two running together. But yeah, nonetheless, Nick Tandy has gone back to Porsche. So
Vin is jumping up in joy right now.
Well, it's just rumored. It hasn't been officially confirmed, but I don't know where else.
At this point, I feel like it's been confirmed.
And I think he was technically only on loan to Corvette anyway, because Porsche didn't really have a place to put him, and I mean he'll have a place to go at Penske, which, like I said, as much as I do like GM and the stuff they do, I do think the Porsche looks pretty nice for an LMH car or GTP car. Actually, all the GTP cars look and sound amazing. So
except for the Cadillac, it sounds stupid.
All right, listeners,
the Cadillac does not sound stupid. The Cadillac sounds amazing.
All right, anybody listening needs to mark it in a calendar. Today is the day that Sean admits he likes a Porsche. It is a momentous occasion in the BTR world. I
just like giving you shit about Porsche. So
yes, and I like giving you shit about Corvette. So it works. It's
see, this is what we have to do. We just have
things are balanced.
We have to give each other crap for it. There's got to be yin and yang.
Yeah, Chris is sitting there going, "Aw, Dad and Dad have made up."
Chris is over here like, I wish Mazda would run.
Yeah, I do wish Mazda would run. Mazda, if you hear this, come fucking back.
I wish Mazda and Nissan would come back.
maybe Kia will join after you give them money, Chris.
Chris, Kia is 20,500 short. Go out and buy a car.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll be right there.
They're really that short? Those things are all over the place.
I was being facetious.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I was like, remember when you could get like 2 Kias for the price of 1 back in the day? Like,
it's essentially literal shit boxes.
Yeah. I mean, now it's literally just a Elantra with a fucking skin on it. So
I would be super happy if Hyundai came to GTP or
they were looking at it. I don't know
LMDH.
What happened with that.
Yeah, they had that mid-engine prototype thing that they built.
That was an electric car.
Rocket ship. I didn't think so. No,
no, it was an electric car. It was an electric car.
I mean,
do like a DeLorean looking thing.
No. That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh,
yeah. He's talking about the one that. Oh shoot! I watched the video that Top Gear did on it like a couple weeks ago when they were actually driving it.
How fucking ironic timing is this? Yeah, the Envision 74, and this article from Road and Track, September 22nd of this year says the mid-engine Hyundai supercar is officially dead.
Oh,
it's electric.
Yeah.
I mean the Hyundai Vision GT concept looks like it would be a great addition to GTP or hypercar. But
sir, that thing looks like a fucking spaceship.
Well, you can run spaceships in hypercar, so.
But honestly, what is it? The Envision 74. It looks like a DeLorean on steroids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's what the DeLorean should have been. But,
methed out DeLorean.
But what's his name? Fuck. Is it Leah Coca or I'm thinking the other one?
Are you talking about Hyundai's dude?
No. Who made I forget who made it. John DeLorean.
John DeLorean.
John Doe DeLorean.
Who made
John
the DeLorean?
DeLorean
Yeah, that DeLorean guy.
He had too much cocaine, so he couldn't make the car. He decided to put a Renault engine in it.
Yeah, well,
That's his first mistake.
Yeah, there's been many of podcasts and other TV programs that have covered the fall of DeLorean, so you can go check those out if you want to learn all about those.
Just remember, you can call him Coke Man if you want
to. Yeah, do.
But no, I was just reading. So Albert Bierman, who was the former M boss for BMW, he led Hyundai's N division until he retired in 2021. Was saying that they were going to build a N supercar. It was going to have a carbon fiber monocoque chassis and a mid-engine layout. The problem was that nobody thought a Hyundai could ever cost $150,000. So
what do you mean they could slap a Genesis plate on it and call it the Genesis because that's supposed to be their luxury premium brand.
I mean, no one thought a Hyundai would cost $50,000, but yet here we are.
That's true. If you would have told me in 2007 that somebody would be paying $50K for a Hyundai, I'd have told you were bonkers.
You were on some drugs.
Considering, again, with like the Kia, you could buy two of those for like the price of one.
But honestly, they both stepped up their game immensely.
That Hyundai would be producing a class-leading hot hatch, I would have told you you were.
You were smoking something.
I don't know. I mean, they weren't the greatest cars when they first came out, but then they kind of
figured out the formula. Also, it helps when you poach some people from BMW and other car companies.
Yeah. Although I'm kind of sad that the Genesis never
got a refresh. Instead, they went to a sedan model.
Yeah, that it never got a or at least like a GT4 variant run. That'd have been cool.
Well, it is kind of odd because I guess you could say it was competing with like the Infiniti, Q50 and whatnot, and those had performance trims, and hell, even Kia had the Stinger GT. And
I mean, they did have the track pack, but at the same time, the track pack kind of didn't do much.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that the Stinger GT isn't in some sort of touring car series or saloon series.
I don't think they know how to go. Other than Hyundai doing touring cars, I don't think they know how to go about it with Kia. I really don't, because
Kia hasn't been in motorsports since the first generation Forte ran in Michelin Pilot Challenge in the old ST class.
Right.
See, I have a car with a sporting pedigree soon.
Yeah, back when it was the Coney Challenge.
Yeah.
Or no,
wasn't that when they were still doing GS and ST?
Yeah, that was back when like the Pontiac GTP and all that stuff.
Yeah, so the ST class used to be the Mini JCW, the Nissan Altima, the MX-5, the Forte, a couple other oddball cars.
Yeah, it was that back then. It was more of a run what you brung kind of series, which was nice because you did have like this wide variety of cars just showing up to the ST class, which was cool to see, especially when back when the Grand Am Le Mans series had their split. I mean, you would get some interesting cars showing up to run the 24-hour race back in the day. So back in the day, it was like 2007 or 8. Good Lord, we're old.
I'm slowly getting there because I'm slowly starting to use that phrase more and more.
Anyway, continuing on with some WEC and IMSA news. Oh man, Zin, do you know how to pronounce this? Is it Soda Francini?
Franchini?
Isata Fraschini.
Yeah. Anyway,
Realize this is an Italian man, and I'm sorry, Italy. I'm sorry.
Yes. Sorry, I am horrible with pronunciation of names. So, but they've announced that they're aiming for a 2023 debut at Spa under the LMDH running or car regulations, which I mean, again, that's cool. We've got another manufacturer that's showing interest. I mean, unfortunately, they won't be able to do IMSA because of IMSA's issues with their manufacturing regulations.
So this is a truck and car manufacturer.
Mm-hmm. It looks nice. Like, I like the design.
Wow.
Of it.
They make some old cars. They've been around a while. Just didn't really make much.
Aren't they more of a they're more of a design company, aren't they?
Yeah, they were a manufacturer back in, I think, like the 30s and 40s.
30s to 40s. The last thing was in 1998.
Yeah, then they kind of became a boutique thing, and then they kind of became like Pininfarina and
they now it looks like they are a coach manufacturer.
Yeah. So, like I said, I thought it was interesting to add in there because it's another manufacturer we're gonna have in this already growing sports car scene. Which more teams that get into sports car racing, the better.
I agree.
So,
yep. It's kind of like turning into the premier motorsport now,
which is
everyone wants to join.
Yeah, which is good. I feel like the sports car really needs to be shown more on the main stage, like Formula One and NASCAR here in the States. IMSA seems to be on a pretty steady trajectory in the United States for fans and people watching the races when it's on TV. So that's
thank you,
good.
John Doonan.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of started before him, but yeah, he's really been
a little farther
pushing. And I think kind of also having the marketing power of NASCAR behind you as well helps them out.
Mm-hmm.
So IndyCar needs to step up and do their due diligence on showing their sport more, which now we can transition into IndyCar news. Great segue. The only IndyCar news that I have this week, because they are in full off-season mode, is that Latifi is rumored to be coming to IndyCar.
Go Tiffy for the win!
Yeah, all the Go Tiffy memes from the WTF1 people can now transition over to all the IndyCar people.
So how many? If he does go to IndyCar, so how many times do you think he's going to find a wall?
Times in Jimmy Johnson.
Ooh. Yeah, actually, Jimmy didn't really hit the wall a whole lot. He was kept very inconsistent, especially on tracks that he had never been to before.
Because my theory is, if he can't handle the F1 car, which has a lot more grip, how is he going to handle the Indy car, which has a lot less grip?
Yeah, and from all the at least what most of the drivers say, that this Indy car is a handful to drive. So,
well, Latifi, good luck.
Yeah. And then we'll move on to F1, which was in Zin's backyard this weekend. Too bad you didn't go, Zin, because you could have gave us some real boots on the ground.
You could have been Chip Sebring, otherwise we'll call you Chip Coda.
My wife was watching the race with me, and when Vettel was running third, she looked at me with kind of this evil look on her face, and it's like, you mean to tell me Vettel's running in contention for the podium and we didn't fucking go?
Oh, called out by the wife.
Well, we were debating about going for Friday, primarily because I wanted to see the historic, the endurance legends that were running this weekend.
Didn't Ferrari Cup run that weekend or something?
I don't think so. The W Series was supposed to run,
but you as we know, things canceled.
Exactly. And I don't recall seeing anything get added to the schedule to fill it in. I know there was a lot of demo runs because both Mario Andretti and Zach Brown went out and did demo laps in the McLaren.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was crazy. The crowds this morning at the airport were steady, busy, but not overwhelming. So it was.
So, did you see any cars get loaded up?
I did actually. So they had the Atlas 747 sitting out there. They were loading up all the cargo containers this morning. I don't necessarily know if the cars were out from the track yet or not. It looked more like the F1 paddock supplies and
Yeah.
all that sort of fun stuff that they use to build their mobile circus.
Right.
But, I am curious. I was just looking. I haven't seen official numbers, but with NASCAR running at Homestead at the same time the F1 race was on, and NASCAR being on Fox and NASCAR being on ABC on the standard channels, I'd be curious what the viewership numbers are. For the two.
I think it's pretty close to a dead heat, but I think F1 might. I think the official numbers will get released on Tuesday, but it looks like F1 might have actually edged out NASCAR.
In the US, that's a bit shocking.
In the TV ratings, yeah.
Yeah. But they were saying something around 410,000, something like that this year, which is about 50,000 more than were out there last year when I was out there. So.
How much were tickets this year? Did they go up from last year?
They
probably like everything.
The tickets were weird this year. So one of the things that they announced before tickets went on sale, was that they were actually going to curb the number of available tickets as part of their like crowd control and
Clearly
helping deal with traffic and whatnot. I think the ticket prices did go up when I was looking in the section that we sat in last year, which we were in the Turn 12 grandstands, which is right at the end of the back straightaway. Super fantastic seats. Would 100% go sit there again. I think they were more expensive. I don't remember by how much though. But then they sold out within 10 minutes. And then over the weeks after that and the months leading up to the race, they built an entirely new grandstand area around turn 6, I think on the infield side. And then they released more and more tickets in the various sections. And then I was looking on the like Ticketmaster for the authorized resellers for those Friday tickets, and like the week before I was potentially able to get Friday only tickets in the same Turn 12 grandstands for like $40 if I wanted to.
Wow,
which is insane.
I'm assuming the resellers that was about twice and 10 times as much.
I mean, it was a hell of a lot cheaper than I was expecting.
Yeah.
So I didn't look on Sunday. I figure Sunday would still be in the hundreds of dollars depending on where you were looking. But I've been once. I can say that I've been to an F1 race now. I definitely want to go to another F1 race. I just don't know if I'll go back to Coda or if I'll try and go like to Montreal or somewhere in Europe.
I mean, I know I don't think they've even announced tickets for sale for Vegas, but I've heard that those are going to be just
Through the
ridiculous. Like, I know the hotel packages are ridiculously expensive.
What is
Yeah,
it? What
there's
is like the starting? Is like the base one for a hotel package? Like what? Like $5,000?
There's some packages with like balconies that overlook the track that are rumored to be around $100,000.
Fuck me.
Yeah, because
Vegas is not going to be cheap.
Yeah, because that's what I was. I looked at that because like I can literally for $140 get a round trip Friday back on Sunday night plane trip from where I live, the little small airport from here, and it's literally a direct flight to Vegas. And I looked at that and I was like, man, if I could like $140 round trip, that's not bad. And if you could get a F1 ticket for hell, even if I had to pay $140, you know, that still wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, looking at the hotel prices made me go, probably
Anyway.
not. Yeah, I was like, I couldn't even afford to probably sleep in a Roach motel that weekend. Because seriously, like looking on some of the travel sites, like when I went out there 10, no, almost 10 years ago. I mean, I know inflation and everything's different, but those same hotels are already charging like $500 a night for literally what is like a $70 motel that people crash in every night when they're just driving through Vegas. Like,
So I was talking with somebody that I work with. He's a consultant, and so he comes in like for about a week at a time. And the hotel that he normally stays at is like, I don't know, 300 for the week or something like that. For F1 weekend, it was going to be 1,400 a night.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I think I'll pass on Vegas. You're probably going to crash and burn like you did last time.
So for Vegas, they did announce that there will not be dynamic pricing on those tickets.
Oh, that's good.
And
You think now?
They revealed that tickets will go on sale in batches, with an announcement coming during their launch party on November 5th. And they were also looking into the possibility of opening up fan zones throughout the city so that fans without a ticket can still come and watch the race.
That's nice, but then again, I'm still paying $1,400 a night for a hotel.
I don't know. My thought is that obviously next year it's still going to be expensive, but I'm hoping maybe 24, since now we've got 3 races in the United States. I mean, granted, I'm sure Miami's ticket prices will be stupid still, and I'm sure Vegas's ticket prices will probably be stupid.
I don't know.
I'm hoping that maybe Coda's prices come down, and then maybe in 24 I'd go down there to do Coda.
I don't know. My whole thing is by 2025, there's going to be only 2 F1 races, and both of them will be at official tracks. That's my hope, anyway.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Because, honestly, I'm kind of tired of the clown show that we run in America with F1, because it just feels like it's so wrong. Anyway, I'll save this for the rant.
Okay. But, okay. So, should probably get into some F1 proper news. We had Red Bull's cost cap findings were finally revealed by the FIA.
Spent too much money on food
and sick leave, apparently, which I think that's kind of dumb that they're getting penalized for people
who
being
got sick.
Yeah.
I don't know if they mean COVID or just like sick in general.
That's a good point.
It wasn't specified, but if they're getting doxxed because a company is paying their people sick leave, that's stupid to me.
I can understand where the rivals are coming from, because obviously Red Bull would not be the only team that's paying sick leave. I hope. Fingers crossed.
Ferrari,
if they are,
for you.
Yeah. If they are the only team paying sick leave, F1, you need to look at yourself.
Now I understand why all those Mercedes folks left and went to Red Bull.
Yes.
We have a better sick leave package.
Yeah, but I can understand their point of like, hey, you should have had this factored into the budget and trimmed back elsewhere to make sure that you were covered. The catering stuff,
that's a little weird. That's like,
some
why?
of that stuff, I'm like, I don't even know how this, like, the budget cap is the budget cap, but there's like some stuff that I don't feel necessarily needs to fall under the budget cap. Like catering would be for like you're wooing sponsors and all.
Yeah, you're trying to make money,
right? Yeah. Like I don't know why that necessarily needs to be controlled versus your travel budget, your R&D budget.
Yeah, like I didn't think
budget.
I didn't think sick leave and then how much you spend on food was even factored into this. I thought this was like a separate thing on its own.
Well, and I think that's partly why the delay happened with them publishing that news, is that Red Bull was trying to figure out like, hey, is this even actually covered, or are we just like bullshitting each other here?
Right.
Yeah. That it's a weird one, because what are other teams spending on catering and sick leave now? That's my question.
I mean, I'm sure like I said, I don't know how much they pay their people, but all that stuff when you run a business, you have
Yeah, I mean, they
whatever
have the best
the
of the best,
guidelines
so.
and standards that whatever country your
Mhm.
business is running out of, you have to abide by their labor laws and guidelines. So you have to have separate funding set up aside to pay for that. So, like I said, I don't see how that gets factored in when technically that also isn't regulated by Red Bull or the FIA. That's literally regulated by whichever country they're home basing out of, which is the UK.
England, yeah.
So they're locked into that no matter what they do.
I feel like they had the budget all set up, and then things got changed slightly, and they didn't realize it till about fifth or sixth race. They're like, oh shit, we've overspent on catering. Like that's the only thing I can think of is catering got more expensive than they were.
Yeah, that
planning.
or they didn't think it was in the budget, and the FIA was like, "Yeah, it's in the budget," and they go, "Oh,
yeah." That's like the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, because why would yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. This is just weird.
So again, all those memes about Max liking cake, apparently that's true. He loved a cake. So,
He be a cake boy. Totally fine. I love cake too.
Yeah, everybody loves cake.
Yeah. If you're a cake hater, what is wrong with your life? I genuinely feel sorry for you if you are at a point in your life where you hate cake.
Also, people
Please
hate
seek
pie. I
help.
hate you too.
People don't like pie. Yeah, and if you don't like lasagna, well, and you like cake, that's just wrong too, because technically it's just spaghetti cake. So get
It's
over
just spaghetti cake.
It's just it's just a pasta cake.
Yep, get over it.
Who doesn't like pasta?
Yep, or cake. See, best of
Right.
both worlds.
Yeah. This is an
Any Italians
indefensible
out there-
stance if you're a counter to our point right now.
Hold on, I have to do disclaimer for any Italians out there. We know lasagna is a type of noodle as well.
Yeah. So, all right, now moving on from cake debate.
Cake gate.
Cake gate, yeah. Lewis Hamilton again put himself a little bit in the news for calling out the FIA and F1 for not supporting the W Series.
Here we go.
And then the F1 released a statement 2 days later stating that it was going to start its own women's only Formula Series.
Wasn't that the W Series?
See, that's what I thought too, but apparently the W Series isn't supported by, at least Formula One. It's supported by FIA, but the F1 sanctioning body, it's not.
So what I hear is they've been listening to Buzz the Tower podcasts.
Hopefully. That one European listener. It's probably Tato, but
Maybe Tato's got strings in the FIA.
We're-
You don't know this. You don't know what he does.
We're gonna presume that it's actually Stefano Domenicali.
yeah. He's our one listener.
And for that, we
Until-
thank
until
you.
we hear otherwise.
He accidentally
That's what
clicked on
we're
because he
doing.
thought this was a podcast completely about Top Gun, which it is not.
And we hooked him with our pure personality.
Right. Like I said, I applaud Hamilton for stating that the a women's only running racing series needs to be supported, and I mean needs to be put on the same level as an F3 or an F2 if that's what kind of cars they're going to be competing with. Like I said, I know Zin doesn't like Hamilton for a lot of reasons, but sometimes he does make a good point about stuff.
I was just gonna say I am not a Hamilton fan, but yeah, I agree with him 100% in this case.
Again, just like me with the Porsche comment,
Take
BTR
note
people,
of this, please.
mark this day again on the calendar because Zin is agreeing with Lewis Hamilton.
Doesn't happen often, but it's enough to
And
make
it doesn't even
always
pain me
open.
to agree. It's just such a no-brainer stance, you know. As a
So-
matter of fact, I shouldn't even give him credit because it's such an obvious stance to take that anything against it is.
Oh no, you can't take it back now. You can't
no,
take
he's
it back
taking it
now.
back.
You're not allowed. No take backs.
No takesies, backsies.
Yes, no takesies, backsies.
Oh well, I'm
So-
fine with this.
Yeah, like I said, we've talked about the W Series in length in previous podcasts, so we can move on with the obvious
Yeah.
correct stance. The next one is Logan Sargent signs contract with Williams, making. Well, I put him with an E on there, so I screwed that up in the notes.
Mr. Himmy.
Yeah. The first American driver since Scott Speed to drive for an F1 team.
Not true.
Well, who was the other one?
Rossi.
Rossi
ran.
He had a start.
He had 3 or 4 starts. Yep.
Oh man,
including the if I remember correctly, 2015 U.S. Grand Prix.
Oh shoot! Well, that is my fault. So, again, if we're gonna have 3 American races in a Formula One championship, and you want more American people to pay attention other than just Drive to Survive, you need an F1 driver. Now, unfortunately, it's not a F1. It's not an American F1 driver with an American race team, because that would be the ultimate American story. But at least we've got one bullet in the gun, so to speak.
Yep, that's all we need. Well, no shit, Zin was correct.
So, darn.
Listen, man, I'm a Rossi fan, so don't.
I like Rossi too. I think he's a great driver and stuff, and it's a shame that he actually isn't in F1 proper. But
yeah, it's also a shame that Andretti Autosport's wasting his good years in IndyCar. But that's getting off the point.
Anyway,
and Colton Herta isn't in F1. Well, he's not.
That's a whole
F1
other
yet.
debacle. But anyway,
Not in F1 yet.
Yeah.
So,
but
I
yeah.
would have been okay with Sargent going to Haas and Schumacher going to Williams, but
I feel like
Schumacher
the
goes
Schumacher
to
train
Williams.
has left Lay Building.
I
Yes.
don't think so.
Yeah,
Who's gonna sign him now? If Logan's already made the contract, then no one else. Haas is apparently signing Giovinazzi.
No, they are not signing Giovinazzi, especially after he went and wrecked the car.
Was that P1 that he did that?
Yes,
FP1,
it was FP1. Gunther Steiner, the week leading up, Schumacher's cost us a bunch of money. What does Giovinazzi to go stuff into?
Cost you even more money.
Well, not as much. He hasn't if he's in the car for next FP1 and he bins the car, then yeah. You're trading a spade for a spade.
I mean, it may not have cost him money for vehicle repair, but it cost him money in barrier repair.
Well, Gunther Steiner is going to fuck smash his door.
Fuck smash, yeah.
So, all right. Well, we covered FP1 and qualifying. I didn't put that in the notes, but Carlos Sainz did qualify on the pole, which is good for him. Although in the actual race, it did not last very long.
His race lasted about 2 laps. He got spun around, and his oil cooler broke, or whatever it was. Water cooler broke, and voila.
Yeah. So on the opening start for Coda is always chaos because of the design of turn 1, which, I mean, it's great. It makes for great TV, but not so much for people trying to survive turn 1. So
also, I see his engine did not have the drink.
Clearly not. Some more notes from the race. Obviously, Alonso and Stroll had a massive crash that could have ended a lot worse than what it did. Luckily, the car came back down.
I mean, if it wasn't for Joe Guan Yu at Silverstone, I would say this would be the scariest wreck of the year.
That is true. Other than that, I mean, the rest of the race, I mean, it was Coda always
action around the track.
Yeah, Coda always produces really good races. Like,
I tell you, people,
I don't disagree.
I sometimes disagree. Depends on the series.
Yeah, for Formula One, it's great. NASCAR, well, and I mean, NASCAR's races have been exciting when they're not aquaplaning all over the place.
Right.
But we had Alonso Alonso go for the wheelie.
Yeah. Top fuel dragstering it.
Then I think we had a couple good passes. Vettel at the end, but save that for a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you had Vettel
put on a show.
was putting on a show. I mean, Hamilton was fighting off Max for as best he could with the car that they've had, which hasn't been the greatest this year.
No,
But
he even said in his post interview, being even in contention was surprising.
right. So yeah, it was another win for Max. Red Bull finally clinches the owner points, and it's kind of a apropos.
Kind of a Vettel. It's kind of a Vettel situation all over again. Where
Well,
they
and
won
it's
both.
kind of apropos because I mean, unfortunately, they did. I mean, they had the passing of the owner of Red Bull, which is always sad.
Wasn't he a big race fan as well?
Well,
He was a huge race fan.
Obviously.
Well, considering that he built a track, so he bought a track.
I mean, before Red Bull and AlphaTauri became a thing, which used to be Toro Rosso, he was an investor in Sauber.
And he he was the main driving factor that got Mark Webber when Webber drove for F1 for the Red Bull team. Like, he had a really close bond with Mark. If you've read Mark's book that he put out, he goes into great detail about how a lot of times he would bump heads with Horner and stuff, and it was kind of the owner of Red Bull that would kind of go for bat for him. Yeah, go for bat for him to get him cars that he would need and stuff like that. So that's always sad to see when somebody has such a passion for the sport. Yeah, for motorsport pass away, because I mean, it's always hard to say what's going to happen to the company, when new owners take over.
Company's direction.
Yeah, especially when people take over and they're not as passionate about motorsport as the previous CEO or owner was. So hopefully it doesn't cause any major issues. And I mean, Red Bull and all the other energy drink companies, that's kind of their bread and butter, is action sports and motorsport in general. So it'd be kind of dumb for them to pull out, but you just never know. So anybody got anything else they want to add about F1 at COTA this weekend?
Fernando Alonso had a nice I'd say a nice recovery drive, and then that got stomped on by Haas when someone got a wing mirror to the face, I guess. I don't know. That's all I know, is it fell off the car somewhere in between then.
Right. Yeah. I didn't initially see that in the highlights because that's all I was able to watch this weekend. So apparently in Formula One's own highlights video, they didn't even show that. So
no, they did show it.
Did they?
You just see it briefly fly off. You don't see it actually happen.
Okay. So
but yeah. I found it ironic how he was complaining about Hamilton has no mirrors, and he all of a sudden had no mirrors.
It just made the car more aerodynamic. That's the reason why he got penalized, because it became faster. Move on to some other motorsports news and notes. Acura has announced that they're going to continue support for the NSX GT3, so that's good. Unfortunately, I don't think it gets a whole lot of support here in the United States. I mean, there are a couple teams that run the NSX, but it's not as prominent as it is elsewhere in the world.
I don't know. I feel like it gets tons of support here. I mean, they kept up with their HPD program. They're still on their HPD program. So
but I'm talking about the GT3 team or GT3 car itself. Obviously the GTP car is going to have the majority of the focus.
Yeah, but I still feel like they're supporting it quite well, considering how many teams are running it.
So,
I mean, they got their Evo kits on time, so there's something to say for that there.
True. Hopefully I don't know what other upgrades they can add for an Evo 2 kit or whatnot. So
I thought they were already on the 2.
Are they already on the 2, or are they just?
Or
on
am
the
I
first
thinking?
Evo
Or
kit?
I'm thinking of Audi.
Audi's on the 2. I think Lamborghini's Evo 2 kit is out. Mercedes is on their Evo kit. Ferrari's got a whole new car. BMW's got a whole new car.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then Corvette's coming with their car.
Yeah, and then Corvette's coming with theirs. Mustang's coming with theirs. So on and so forth. Other news, fellow sim pleb turned full-time racer, Jimmy Broadbent, they won their first real world championship in the Praga series for Brit Car. So good on you, Jimmer.
Then he gets to go Le Mans next year.
Is that one of the...
I think that's one of the things he's planning on doing. I think that's one of the things he was planning on doing. So I don't know if he moves up to ELMS.
Ooh, that would be fun.
I can't remember which one it was, but I'm pretty sure it was like ELMS, not WEC.
Well, whoever supports him, hopefully their social media team gets ready for the influx of Simplebs coming.
And hopefully they have a lot of cash because it's going to end up like Michael Fassbender.
Well,
almost wrecking the car. You know.
Well, Michael also has other pursuits outside of.
Yeah, but I feel like when he was with the Porsche stuff, he was focusing 99.9% on that.
And apparently Zinn has a storm rolling through, so his mic's all over the place. So we're just going to continue on.
Sadly, Zinn can't come to the rant right now. Please leave a message.
Another one, news that I wanted to hit on real quick that isn't in here that I just seen the other day is that Tony Stewart is going to be running Top Fuel Dragster this coming weekend, I think, for NHRA, his first time ever.
Interesting. So we're gonna see him in smoke or be smoke.
Yeah. So his literal he has more fun doing NHRA than NASCAR is gonna come true, and we'll see how much fun he actually has this weekend.
We'll see if he shits his pants. It's Code Brown.
I'm sure those cars are there this year. They seem to be real fast. So, I mean, they're always fast. NHRA.
I mean, aren't they like under like 5 seconds?
Oh yeah. I mean, they're over 300 miles per hour and they only go to 1,000 foot now instead of
quarter
mile. So
really, they only do 1,000 feet.
Yeah. After they had a bunch of issues years back with,
the engines not last.
Well, that and shutdown problems and stuff like that at some of the racetracks, and the cars, not stopping. They switched them to 1,000 foot.
Yeah, that's a big problem when you're going 300 miles an hour not stopping.
Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for motorsports news. If Chris,
I did have a rant. I can't remember what the rant was now.
Oh, great. I had an idea and I lost it.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was about the W series or no. Oh, okay, I know what it was. Coming back. America and F1 again.
Yes.
I'm kind of tired of the dog and pony show we put on, which is like bring all these celebrities who don't really give a fuck about racing.
They're only there. What do you mean they're there for the clout, Chris? They're there for the clout.
Who the fuck cares?
They do.
Pardon my French at this point. I think
they care, and their followers care.
They don't care. All they've watched is like 3 minutes of Drive to Survive, where Max Verstappen's yelling at Lewis Hamilton, or the other way around.
True.
And it just annoys me to hell because we need a proper racetrack other than these stupid street circuits, which last time we went to Vegas didn't work out too well because the tires melted.
Well, at least it's not going to be run during the daytime, so the tires aren't going to melt.
They tried to do it in Dallas. That didn't work out too well.
Yeah, that was terrible too.
But I just don't like the crappy little street circuits we get from America. Like we have so many great racetracks that we have Indianapolis we can go back to. Although it's probably a completely different layout, but still, we have Indianapolis to go back to.
Yeah, and it is an FIA graded circuit.
Yep.
So,
and Roger Penske's like, "Come back, please."
Right. I know he's trying to get WEC to come there. So
we already got IMSA on the schedule.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I agree that they need to run at proper race circuits and not street circuits. And I do acknowledge the fact that a lot of people, the only reason why they're paying attention is because of the Drive to Survive. I even have some coworkers that have started watching Formula One because they stumbled upon Drive to
Yeah.
Survive. And so I get barraged with questions on what's going on and stuff like that with the rules and stuff, which I'm more than happy to answer anything that I have knowledge about to get more people into motorsport.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, I'm glad that it is bringing eyes, but yeah, it's also, I understand.
It's also creating a shit show of things that people just don't understand and asking, why is that? Or they're essentially either siding with Max or Lewis on some things. And it's just like, you can't do that. You have to look at it from an open point of view, or you're just going to get you're going to get lost in the cloud of, oh, this driver did this, so they're a bad person. It's like, no, they're not. They're doing something that they would be doing anyway.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm sure eventually the Drive to Survive hype will slow down. And then if there's people that are actually interested in F1, they will stay. If they aren't, well, then they'll move on to whatever the next popular TV series or whatever is going on. I don't know if they come out with another Game of Thrones or something. Everybody will be
who knows,
watching Game of Thrones or something.
Also, I also did find it funny how the roles were reversed Sunday.
That was yesterday.
No, that was yesterday. But I found it funny how the roles were reversed, and like Lewis was yelling about the cutting of the track, even when he was cutting the track.
Well, you know.
But I'm not going to go into detail about that one.
You're gonna call him out.
Lewis Hamilton could do no wrong. Race enough. I watched literally when everyone was wondering if Max's tires were going to last, because apparently the mediums were wearing a bit more than usual there with this car. So
right,
with the bigger rim.
Yeah.
And I guess it ended up working in Max's favor because he ended up winning the race. So
yep. I mean, yeah, that's another thing too with the other reason why the NASCAR race was so great, because we actually had legitimate tire wear and the cars would slow down and drivers actually had to drive the car. So
what, you don't like when it's on rails?
Yeah, slot car racing. No, I don't. I like it when there's cars coming and going. So, and Zin's away from the mic, so he totally agrees that Lewis Hamilton is the greatest.
Zin, do you have any rant? Oh, it's a very, very, very spiritual rant by Zin there.
Yeah, so all right. Well, since we've got nothing else to go off of, then I guess we can end this episode of the Buzz the Tower Racing podcast. So
Zane.
Yeah, goodbye, everybody. I guess. Oh, F1's at Mexico this weekend, right?
Oh, they are. Oh,
yeah, or next weekend. One of the
Viva la Mexico F1.
So we'll see how that goes. So, all right, bye, everybody.
Goodbye.